Hey guys, Dustin with Krav Maga Waterloo again, here to run through with another online lesson with you guys. Let's start off with a little bit of a review of what we've been doing recently. So let's go back into our fighting stance. Hands are up in front of our face, elbows down by our ribs, tucking our chin, protecting our throat, protecting our face. I'm keeping my dominant foot back. Back heel is up off the ground. Knees are nice and soft and springy. Feet roughly shoulder width apart this way. From here, just starting off just with some footwork. Moving around, forwards, backwards. I can change my angles. Still making sure my hands stay up in front of my face. Now let's just start throwing some light punches. I can make my palm strikes as well. I can start throwing in my legs. I start throwing in knees. And time. Now, we've learned how to punch in place. Now we're going to work on some advancing punches. The reason why we're working on advancing punches is our target's not always going to be stationary. In a fight, if I'm being punched or I'm throwing punches at someone else, their natural response is to move out of the way. So to ensure that I'm continuing to strike and put pressure on my opponent, I need to move in with my punches. So from here, it's going to look something like this. So you notice every time I throw a punch, I took a step forward. It might be a small step, it might be a big step, but I'm moving forward every time I'm throwing my punches. So going from this position, I'm in my fighting stance from here. Just like my footwork we did last time, I need to step with my front foot and I need to bring up my back foot. As I throw my punch, I'm going to imagine there's a string from my wrist down to my foot. As my foot moves, I'm going to now send my punch. I'm not stepping and then punching, nor am I punching and then stepping. I want to think of throwing my punch out as I step into the target this way. As my hand now starts to recoil back to my face, now I'm going to close up my fighting stance this way. I step and land in my fighting stance. Good, so let's put that all together. So going from our fighting stance here, when I say go, we're to step with our front foot, punch with our left hand, and then follow it with our back foot. Ready? Go. 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 Good. Reset. Give yourself a little bit of space. And now work with whatever space you got. If you have less space, take less steps forward. If you have a little bit of a wider space to work with, you can take more steps forward. Again, ready? Go. 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 One more time. Ready? Go. 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 And time. So now let's work on our right straight. It's essentially the same thing. I go for my fighting stance. As I step with my front foot, now I'm going to throw my right hand this way. As my hand comes back, my right foot is going to step back into my stance. On my call, ready? Go. 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 Reset. And go. 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 And reset. Now you want to make sure as you're throwing the punch, try to make your movement a little more explosive. It's not necessarily step, 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 step. That's fine in the beginning. But to get more power, I want to be more explosive with my step. One more time. Following me. Ready? And go. 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 Now, let's link those two together. We're going to start with our lead hand jab. So I'm going to step. I'm going to throw my lead punch. As this hand comes back, I'm going to step with my back foot. Then I'm going to send my right straight, and then I'm back in my stance this way. Ready, on my call. Go. 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 Reset. Ready. Go. 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 One more time. Go. 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 And time. Now, if we have something to train with, this is what your advancing punches should look like if you have a bag or partner to train with. Key thing, once again, just like when I did my punches before, I want to make sure I have a nice strong wrist when I make contact. I don't want to step in and have my wrist buckle, running a risk of damaging my wrist. I also want to make sure that I'm not stepping in so far that I'm now losing that punch. I'm shortchanging my punch, keeping my elbow bent. I should still be able to land and get a nice straight arm and adequate rotation throughout my body as I finish the punch. So I can start slow, but as I get more confident, I can add more power into my punches. Now, let's work on some lower body techniques. So now we're going to work on our front kick to a vertical target. Very similar to our front kick to the groin that rises up through my target. Now I'm going to think of driving through my target horizontally this way, looking like this. So the first thing I need to do for the kick is I need to lift my knee up. I need to chamber my leg this way. This is where I'm going to get the power. The power comes from my hips all the way down to my foot. Once I've gotten my knee up this way, I'm now going to drive my hips out, and I'm punching the ball of my foot through the target. If I have my foot already on the ground, my ball of foot should already be touching the ground. This is the area I want to make contact with. I like to think of this as a punch, only with my foot. So let's try this. From my fighting stance, when I say go, we're going to throw that front kick. Ready? Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. Go. Hush. And time. Now, this is what my front kick should look like if I'm training with a bag. Hush. 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 Key thing, when I'm making contact with the bag, I want to make sure that I'm not starting too close to the bag. If I'm this close to the bag, I should be throwing my knee strikes. I need to make sure that I'm far enough away that I can extend and drive my foot through the target as I'm sending that front kick. I'm thinking again of punching with the ball of my foot. What I don't want to do is push the bag away. Sort of a similar movement, but I really want to think of driving that foot, folding my target in half every time I throw that kick. All right, so now let's combine those two techniques. So we're going to start with our front kick because it's more of a longer range technique. Once I finish the front kick, because my leg is longer than my arms, I now need to make that advance and step to then land my punches. So it's going to look a little something like this. Now, if you're on your own and you don't have anything to train with, you don't have a heavy bag, you don't have a partner, you can still do this on your own. Going from our fighting stance, I do the exact same thing. I throw my front kick. Now, once I've planted my foot back in my fighting stance, I'm driving off of that foot and I'm throwing those two strikes. And then I can reset. So I throw my kick and I land. And I can start adding in a little more movement if I want to. I can move around. And time. All right, now we're going to work on some self-defense. So the technique we're going to work on today is defense versus an arm pull. It's going to look a little something like this. Let's go from the front. Let's go from this side. Now that we know what the defense looks like, let's get into it. So the moment I'm feeling myself being pulled, if I'm being pulled from the side this way, I'm not trying to resist and lean in the opposite direction. I'm thinking of bursting and landing in my fighting stance as soon as possible. The key to this is I need to get my feet back underneath me as soon as possible. I'm off balance, so I need to get into that strong, solid position here. Once I'm in that stance, now I can start throwing my punches, I can start throwing my palm strikes. Since my hands are already in a low position to begin with, maybe I end up striking to the groin, then I strike to the face. Once they've let go, now I can then disengage and move away. So let's try this. Let's assume the opponent is grabbing us from our left. So when I say go, we're just going to burst and start throwing strikes. Ready? Go. And then disengage. Go. And sometimes we mix up. Sometimes that palm strike goes to the groin first. Sometimes my punch goes to the head first. Whatever comes out of you naturally. Again, go. Disengage. Go. Same applies if I'm being pulled to this side. Now, because I'm being pulled to my right, I may end up in an opposite fighting stance, which is fine. If that doesn't feel quite as natural to you, I can step into my natural fighting stance or my regular fighting stance with my less dominant side forward, keeping my dominant side back. I can still deliver my strikes, and then I can work on disengaging from there. Same applies if I'm being pulled to the front. The moment I feel myself being pulled, I'm bursting in, I'm throwing my punches, and I disengage. Now we covered being pulled from the sides, being pulled to the front, again, one side versus the other. What if I get pulled backwards? The exact same thing applies. If I'm being pulled from behind, I'm turning in the direction I'm being pulled, and I'm delivering my strikes, and then I'm disengaging. Again, the key thing is once I start to turn, I'm landing in that fighting stance. Now I'm delivering my strikes. Now I can wrist release, and I can now escape the threat. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The main takeaway of today's lesson was movement, moving forward, moving into the fight and covering distance. Whether it's my advancing straight punches, whether it's following up after I've thrown a long range weapon, going to more of a mid to close range weapon, or I'm being pulled off balance, I need to move in, I need to reestablish my base and my balance. If you guys have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.